First of all, I appreciate everybody tuning in today to our fourth series on our combating battle fatigue. And today we're going to talk about stress management. There's a lot going on, and I thought it was just a great opportunity to talk and share with you a little bit about how our bodies manage stress and then how we can develop our counteroffensive to beat off that stress. And today we've got a special guest. We've got Dr. Ivory Ray. She's a naturopathic doctor. She comes from us she's the wellness supervisor down at Mount Carmel Wellness and Community Center down in Trinidad, Colorado. And she's going to talk to us a little bit about stress today and bring a naturopathic perspective or holistic perspective, a little bit different perspective than we've had. And I welcome her aboard. And then she's also got an intern, Sarah, that's working with her. She's an AmeriCorps intern. They spend a whole year working and helping, serving those people that are less fortunate than themselves. So I appreciate y'all being on today. And as usual, I want to say thank you very much to Kangaroo Coffee for being our sponsor. It's really hot out there today, so cool yourself off with it. Go get yourself some iced coffee. Let's see how everything goes. So let's go ahead and get after it, things. So we've got, like I said, we're going to talk about stress today. And then next week, we're going to finish up a little bit on stress and finding life balance and some gratitude, some mindfulness kinds of things. Like I said, today we're going to focus on stress management. And as usual, I want to differentiate a little bit between a medical doctor, a clinician, and myself, a PhD of health education. And then Dr. Ray's naturopathic degree is also relevant. But medical doctors, they use pharmaceutical medicines, they use medical treatments, they use tertiary care, and they try to help us when we have a chronic disease or illness. My specialty, and a lot of what Dr. Ray does, is that it's behavior and lifestyle change. We talk about managing stress, eating better, and so forth, and lifestyle change, behavior modification. And then with the naturopathic degree, Dr. Ray can also interact and has some limited services that she can interact just like a medical doctor would use. So do some blood work and some other things. But all in all, we're all on the same page. Our goal is to try to help the people that we work with have a great quality of life and live to they get old and happy years, the golden ages per se. So if you have any questions, please put that in the chat room, and we'll get to those at the end of the program. And without further ado, let's talk about some stress management. Sorry, one more disclaimer. Although we're not talking fitness or exercise really too much today, if you haven't had an annual physical, please get that done with your medical provider and talk to them about your health status, because we want you to, like I said, live healthy and well, and doing your annual preventive care on a medical perspective is really important. And then today we're talking about stress and the mental and emotional health. And I just want to remind everyone, if you ever need someone to talk to, we have our company EAP program, and you see the phone number there that you can talk with them in confidence and share them things that might be on your mind. So with that, let's get into it. All right, stress management. Probably the original individual that studied stress management was a gentleman named Hans Selye, and he came up with the general adaptation syndrome, as you can see the acronym there. And there's really three elements to it. There's an alarm stage where maybe you get into a car accident or almost get into a car accident, or someone scares you and you immediately you feel different. Oh, that alarm stage, you got hormones getting dumped into your system. You've got neurotransmitters that are telling your muscles to do things. And what you're really doing is you're preparing to deal with the stress that's coming at you. And you can really look at stress as distress. We talked about that last time, which is really harmful stress. Or we can also look at things eustressfully in a beneficial way. And it's really how you respond to the stress. It's the significant element of that. And we want to try to deal with stress in a eustressful method. But again, going back to the general adaptation on the alarm stage, it's usually a pretty acute, short period of time that happens. And then we start to recover with this endurance element. But we've got a lot of stresses that can continue that might not be significant, big stresses, but they're smaller stresses like light noise or sound noise or you might have a roommate that irritates you. Our body is still doing this stress response. You might have heard it. It's called the fight or flight response. But we still have a lot going on internally, and we have to manage that. And if we don't, we run into the exhaustion stage where it can lead to chronic diseases, mental health issues, emotional health, depression, and so on. So the general adaptation syndrome is something that we go through, and it's a constant moving back and forth through this syndrome that we really figure out how we deal with stress and what it does to us in our long-term health. Now, this is kind of looking at the alarm stage, right? The very first one. And look at everything that happens. Our nervous system is influenced by stress. Our musculoskeletal system is influenced by stress. Our respiratory system. And if you think about it, this is a lot of the systems that we've talked about over this combating battle fatigue program. And it really is, it's all tied in, and it's how we manage the stress that can really influence our health in a good or bad way. And if you look there at the left-hand side, these are the physiologic responses that you're going to notice that occur to stress. You might not have much saliva in your mouth. You're stressed out. You might have gastrointestinal problems because you're stressed out. If you can identify the stress and where it's coming from, that's half the battle. And then you can come up with a game plan to manage that. So again, we're just human beings are a big bag of water. We've got a bunch of chemicals in it, and these chemicals interact in a distressful or a eustressful way. And like I said, it's all how we manage these things. Now, here's a few other really obvious signs of stress. They really show up in a behavioral influence, a physical, and an emotional element. And take a look at these, and hopefully you don't see a whole lot of yourself on this particular page, but you very well could. Behavioral influences of stress could be an increase in drug use, changes in your eating habits, losses in concentration, and just mental fogginess at work. You can have colds and infections. You sleep well, or you get 8 hours of sleep, but you wake up tired. That's a critical sign of stress. You might be bored. You just lose interest in the things that you do. You get angry quickly. These are all signs of stress, and they're negative signs. This is what causes distress. And so, like I said, if you can identify what's causing the stress, then the next thing is to deal with it and manage it. And we can do that because the end result really is, if you don't manage stress, or if you don't do anything about it, it leads to heart disease. It leads to cancer. It leads to arthritis. It leads to inflammation. All these things that we read about in the paper, and we can manage them if we just become a little bit proactive in what we're doing, identify the stress, and then come up with a game plan to manage that. And that's where I want to bring in Dr. Ivory Ray. She's going to take over with a couple slides, and she's going to share with us some information about how to turn distress into eustress. We've actually got some programs that are available through the Mount Carmel Community Center down there in Trinidad that you can do online. There's no charge. And so with that, I want to let Avery take over for a couple slides. Are you there, Avery?
I'm here. That's okay.
Sorry about that.
Thank you for having me, Scott, and thank you for sharing the impact of stress on the body. As Scott mentioned, in short periods of time, stress is great for getting us out of those acute situations. But when we have long-term stress, it wears and tears on our body, using up those good resources and impacting us in negative ways. So the reason we're here today is to talk about what can we do to help support ourselves have a healthier and happier life, right? And one of those things is to manage your time and productivity creatively. So what I like to think of is building in self-care is just as important as building in productivity, right? Because if we actually take care of ourselves, manage our time, take time to restore and rebuild, we're going to be more productive when we're in the office, and we're going to be more on point with people. So taking time to build in that, 5 or 10 minutes of gratitude a day, taking time to, go for a walk in nature and connect, with being outside, having that conversation with that person that makes you smile. All of those things are important. So build in self-care, and also schedule yourself or time block the things that you need to get done, so that okay, from this time to this time, I'm going to do this work activity, but from this time to this time, I'm taking a 10-minute walk. right? So taking time to create a balanced schedule that allows you to come into health and manage that stress. Another way that Sarah and I use in our stress management circle is to practice relaxation techniques. First, we connect authentically with each other, right? Because we want to be honest about, like, here's what's going on. Here's how it's impacting me. Well, what can I do about it? And we like to share with each other, like, this is what I've tried that works for me. Or we might have, another participant say, this is the thing that I tried that works for me. And then we can learn from each other, right? Because being connected and being in community is really important for managing stress too. And we practice really different fun techniques, which are scientific based, right? So coming into your breath, right? Just taking a moment to breathe. And we think, oh, I breathe all the time. But if you have any of those snazzy watches, some of them will tell you you're not breathing, or you're actually holding your breath, or sometimes they'll beep at you and say, hey, stop and breathe. And so coming into your breath is a really powerful way to actually come into that parasympathetic, which is the opposite of that fight or flight, right? That's when we rest and digest, which we need to do in order to assimilate that food for those nutrients, in order to have that, all that we need to feel functional and balanced. And so breath techniques are really wonderful. That's one of the techniques that we practice, not only in stress management, but also in the mindfulness morning class I teach, which starts out with breath work and stretching, and then moves into yoga with conscious breath.
Now,
Other things.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
regular exercise, that's pretty straightforward. We've covered that, and eating a nutritious diet, that's always really important. But let me go to this. Tell us a couple more things about maybe living in the present, cultivating your sense of humor, kind of laughing at yourself. Maybe some of this stuff, gratitude that you had just mentioned. Share a little bit of that, and then we'll move on.
Sure, absolutely. So a lot of time when we come into fear, anxiety, or the future, we're in a stress response, right? But if we take a moment to come into the present moment, look at what is working in our life, reflect on the things we're grateful for, the things that are working, it actually brings us out of fear. You can't hang out in fear and gratitude at the same time. So when you take a few minutes to look at, gosh, I have a really beautiful animal, and I have this home that's really comfortable. And, when I step outside, I have fresh air, and gosh, I'm really lucky that, I can still connect with this friend or that uncle or my parents. We all of a sudden realize that even though things are hard in life, that there's a lot to be grateful for. And when we come into that place, it actually changes the way we view our life and stress. And so I really encourage doing a gratitude journal, or even just a gratitude practice where you go through and you list the things that really matter to you. And as you mentioned, Scott, having some joy, some laughter in your life really will shift the way those hormones are actually happening in your body. So I like to plan in joyful activities, which would be that self-care thing. And I have adult coloring books, and I love them. And I might put on, like a movie that I know is going to end happy, or a Disney show, color, listen to some good music, take an Epsom salt bath with some essential oils, do those things that are going to nurture me and calm me, because it is really important for us to be joyful and grateful, for us to want to keep doing this thing called life. It's so important.
And that's one thing that I think is really important, is that you have to do these things. You can't think about them or know them. You actually have to make time and do them. And you'll feel better. Yes, there's a lot of time going on, and we don't have time. But making time for yourself is really important.
We're the only ones that can do it, right? That's why it's called self-care. Nobody else can really make us feel happier, live a healthier life. So the best thing about it is that we're empowered as individuals to take these steps and to be in a better place. So as you mentioned, Scott, I'm a big fan of physical activity. Breaks the stress cycle, helps with sleep. I'm a huge fan of mindful and healthy eating, which we talk about in some of our health talks. And I know you mentioned it, but I just want to reiterate, Scott, that decreasing caffeine, just so that you're not overdoing it in sugar, and increasing protein are also really important for a healthy physical response to stress. And I don't know the amount of time we have, but I'm happy to share any other tips of the trade, nutrients, if you'd like.
Well, I'll kind of take over again a little bit, and we're on the page now. We actually have some programs again that are up here And I'd like to say again, there's Sarah. Thank you, Sarah, for all the help you've done with Mount Carmel. You've helped Ivory out a lot. You guys are one heck of a team. But again, we've got programs available to you online: stress management, health talk, mindfulness mornings, gentle stretching. Those are all available through our Mount Carmel program. And any of you all that are out there, I think we've got 34 people on the chat now. You can contact Laura, you can contact me, and we'll get you set up and talking to the people that you need to if you're interested in these programs. So kind of one other thing I want to mention, on the 15th of this month, next Wednesday, we're having a big get together with our Trails In Trailblazers group. Randy Gradishar is going to be there, raffling off a jersey. We got a lot of people coming out to bike and hike and have some fun. So I want to make sure that you all are aware of that. And again, it's next Wednesday from 5:30 to 8:30. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to that. And again, interacting with Healthy Habits, you can earn points and trade those points in for some really cool Healthy Habits swag that you can see here on this page. Yoga mats, fitness bands, activity trackers, the whole 9 yards. So take a look at that and earn your points so that we can give out some of these goodies. Looking forward to that. And then over the course of the program, we've gotten quite a few comments on the chats. Someone's mentioned fishing and getting outside is quite helpful. Absolutely. Good tips on just getting outdoors. And I appreciate that. Fly fishing has come up, so we got 2 fishers. I just can't put the little worm on the hook, man. That's my problem with the fishing. But I like fish. What else do we have? Arts and crafts that was brought up. That's a great thing. Crochet or knitting is very good. So anyways, appreciate everything that you all have done. Looking forward to the next chat. And it's going to be a little bit more on stress management. We're going to talk about finding life balance. And please like us on the Healthy Habits page. If you haven't, send us some things in. And then everyone, I appreciate your time on here. And if I can help with anything, please contact me, reach out, and we can get you in touch with Ivory and some of the other programs. Still getting a couple chats. All right. So all in all, I appreciate everybody's time, and we will talk to you soon.